Hello my friends, it is I, Simon Miller. Once again I'm in a hotel room. It's like 4:30 in the morning over here in the UK. I've just watched AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, but we have to be quiet, otherwise hotel patrons will come yell at us. But I would tell them, listen my friend, I have a finger of power and we have to up those downs. So let's do that right now. So as you would expect, we did start off with Nigel McGuinness coming to the ring. He was all like, I don't know if Bryan Danielson is going to accept my challenge because he's a big scaredy cat. When Bryan Danielson's OG theme started to play, can you believe it? He wasn't here. And that was the end of the match. Wasn't. Because instead, of course, the final countdown started to play and Bryan Danielson did come to the ring, which means he was actually backstage going, here's what I want you to do, sound producer guy. I want you to play my original music. And when Nigel McGuinness gets a bit pissed off, then you spend $250,000 on the final countdown, and only then shall I walk to the ring. I was like, Bryan Danielson, you are a wonderful troll. Now, many people have been all like, oh, it's too rushed and there's no story involved, and of course you're allowed that opinion, because I am a massive nerd and a massive geek. I remember the match they had, 15 years ago, probably longer, in Liverpool. When I was watching, I was like, this is just great. How the hell are we getting Bryan Danielson versus Nigel McGuinness? From there, I just had the best time. Nigel should absolutely keep doing matches too, because not only is he in great shape, but it doesn't really look like he's lost a beat. We all know Bryan Danielson is one of the best wrestlers ever. So once more, just to reiterate, if you want to take a lovely walk down memory lane, go and watch this right now. Now I will admit the only minor part of this was the fact that nobody in their right mind thought that Nigel McGuinness was going to win, but we'll get back to that later. But when he was on top, he turned to Tony Schiavone and shouted, man, this is too easy. That's when I was like, nah, he's just gonna come back and bite you in the ass. Of course, just to appease everybody, they then did some proper old school wrestling when they teased that spot with Reed to the ring post. Now, if you haven't seen this match from Liverpool, do not go back and watch it when they do the stuff with their heads. Wasn't nice then, it wouldn't have been nice now, and thank goodness it was just a tease. Eventually McGuinness started working over Bryan's arm, which was going to hamper him, because even when he went for the psycho knee, he wasn't able to do anything, because his limbs stopped working. Danielson also kicked out of the bounce back lariat, which everybody went crazy for, because he did it out of 1 ooh, we didn't even get to a 1-2 ooh, when McGuinness reminded you, I'm not a nice guy, I'm a super duper massive heel. He poked Bryan right in the eye. Now he did make sure that McGuinness did hit the Tower of London, even though it didn't work, because that also got a 1-2 ooh. It kind of just felt like a Christmas present from your nan, or maybe your estranged nan. Like you don't think you're going to get a present, and then you get one, and even though it's something you're never going to use, it was just nice to see it to begin with. That didn't make any sense. They were basically both exhausted by the end of this when Nigel McGuinness fell right into the LeBell lock, and of course he tapped out. And I think he may have shouted thank you at the end of this. A little bit of a tear in my eye. What a redemption journey. And there was some tomfoolery and shenanigans after this because Christian Cage walked out all like, I'm gonna cash in my contract. When Kip Sabian arrived too, obviously he's been falling out with Christian Cage, and can you believe it, he stopped it. Claudio and Pac also then ran down there because of course they want their guy John Moxley to take this championship. And I'm very pleased we're finally doing something with Kip Sabian. I mean, he is an OG character, he always puts in the time. So all of this was just great. It was a wonderful roller coaster ride. And again, if you have been watching wrestling for years, it just made you feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum. And think about it from Nigel McGuinness's point of view. What a wonderful moment to him. He is a human being. We always forget that. When I actually got a prediction right. So damn happy. But it was Roderick Strong versus Hook, and after Hook had retained the FTW title, he walked up to his dad Taz in New York, which did have significant meaning to it, and he retired a championship. Not gonna lie, I only said that on a whim, because I thought it may have been a good idea, and yeah, I'm right behind it. Otherwise though, this was your traditional FTW match, and obviously the Undisputed Kingdom kept trying to screw over Hook. I am exaggerating a little bit here, but it's fun to exaggerate. I mean, Hook kind of whipped Roderick Strong's ass, and he whipped Matt Taven's ass, and he whipped Mike Bennett's ass. I don't think that's going to do him any harm. We also got the use of Barry Barricade, Kendrick the Kendo Stick, and Charlie the Chair. Essentially was like, well, you hit me. Okay, ow, that really hurt. No, I'm going to hit you. A bunch of other people are going to get involved. And there was this 3 count, which felt like a 3 count, but it was a 2 count. What are you going to do? Really, though, eventually, after Roderick Strong hang got nuts on Hook's ass, which sounds terrible and I shouldn't have said it, he went for the end of heartache, and Hook decided, well, no, I don't want that to happen. And he applied the red rum, and not only did Strong tap out, but the entire Undisputed Kingdom kind of saluted Hook. So if you want to walk into my house and tell me this was trying to get Hook a little bit more momentum and push him up the card, I do think I'd agree with you. It was just a solid, fun, good match. Of course, as already mentioned, afterwards Hook did retire the title and had a lovely moment with Father Taz. I'm going to give it an up. I mean, honestly, sometimes you just have to do simple things, which is what I think I said about the first match too. But I've become a simple guy. Especially because the next match wasn't simple. I don't know what I'm going to do. Because it was indeed Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher taking on the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team titles. Let me just look up in my wrestling book what they did here. Oh, there it is on page 9. Everything. I mean, at one point, Will Ospreay was even moonsaulting off Kyle Fletcher's back. And of course, the Young Bucks had all their tag team offense. Some people say some funny things about all 4 of these guys. And more power to you with your opinion. But when it comes to their wrestling skill, well, I would probably rank them about 100. You know where the scale starts? 0. And do you know where it ends? 100. The Young Bucks also did that bounce off the ropes power bomb, so they must have added that to their arsenal. And when they went for the EP trigger, I can't even talk. When they went for the EVP trigger, Will Ospreay cut it off with a double Os cutter. By this point, everybody was pinging around. Kyle Fletcher was doing damn tombstone on the outside. And even he was like, you know what, count them out, who cares? Let's just get a win. At one point too, everybody was just reversing everybody else when Will Ospreay hit a 450. So Nicholas Jackson went, I'm just gonna hit a Canadian Destroyer. And Kyle was doing moves and Matt Jackson was doing moves. If you like the party version of wrestling, which has become so apparent in the modern day, you owe it to yourself to see this match. It was just like a who can do the crazier move off. I don't think that's a thing. Ospreay and Fletcher even hit a double Styles clash at one point as Will followed it up with the Stormbreaker and the Hidden Blade. And my gosh, Nick Jackson broke that up at the 1-2. And then the way Will stopped the TK driver was genuinely borderline insane. And then Ospreay and Fletcher did hit the Coriolis, whatever the hell it's called, and that was stopped too. And by this point I was like, what the flap is going to happen? And I thought like an alien was going to walk in and win, because that would have made the most sense. And that was kind of actually accurate because Don Callis walked to the ring and he was like, Kyle Fletcher, please use this screwdriver. There's one of those wrestling moments you're like, yeah, that's not a thing. Also, bam, put it on the crime counter. You can't use a screwdriver, that's a murder weapon. Now, it actually looked like Kyle was going to do this until Ospreay was like, no, don't do it. We can win it by ourselves. Of course, this kind of cast the distraction. And the Young Bucks used the damn tag team titles and knocked everybody out. There was one cool tease because they focused on Ospreay first, so Kyle Fletcher did hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, but he only got a 1-2. When the Young Bucks hit the BTE trigger, they are still your tag team champions. So the story here, of course, was that if Don Callis hadn't got involved, Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher were probably going to win. If I were going to hazard a guess, the Don Callis family is about to get a lot smaller, whereas the United Empire may be back. So this was just absolutely great, and I think the Young Bucks keeping hold of those championships was the right thing to do. And it's like going into a pizza restaurant and getting some pizza. You knew what the menu was going to be, but that menu was damn good. These are 4 of the best wrestlers in the world as far as I'm concerned. We then had a quick backstage segment as we learned that Rocky Romero has joined the conglomeration. He's also wearing a damn boy's top. Well, that was very nice. It's also when Prince Nana decided to come out and he was all like, man, I just want to give you an update about Swerve Strickland. You know, he got his ass beaten up, but he is doing okay and he'll be back soon. That's like, well, I probably could have read that on the internet. Why did you bother to come out? As it turns out, it's because we were going to have a surprise. And I won't lie, even with all the rumors, I didn't see this coming. Because who debuted on AEW coming out the heel tunnel? It was MVP. Umvup also made sure to put Swerve Strickland over like he was a hero, going, oh my gosh, he was the best thing since sliced bread, and I love him with all my heart. But, you know, Bryan Danielson is the guy running around with the championship now, and he seems pretty happy. So if I was going to point the finger and blame anyone, it would be Swerve's management. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Prince Nana. It just means that MVP wants to talk business. You can see what he's doing here. It's a little bit of a tease. Honestly, this set me absolutely crazy, because if AEW tells this story right, we are going to see a Shelton Benjamin, and we are going to see a Bobby Lashley, and they're going to do something with Swerve, well, that could be damn good. And again, I did not see it coming, even though I knew it was going to happen. Such a moron. When it was indeed Yuka Sakazaki taking on Mariah May for the Women's Championship, and this is when I'm going to drag Nigel McGuinness and Bryan Danielson back in, these 2 matches lacked one thing, and that was the believability that the challenger could win. And I know that Bryan's world title wasn't on the line, but still, I just felt like given the gravity of Grand Slam, you just needed a little bit more, I don't know what's going to happen, so it's a teeny tiny down, mostly because these matches were still so fun, but I did feel it, and I ain't going to fight my feelings. It's not good for you. Yuka did try to reverse that because he flew in with a dive straight away when they got into a slap battle. I was like, why not? Sakazaki then decided she was going to choke Mariah using the ropes, and that made me laugh when we got the craziest 1-2. Actually, now I think about it, maybe it was here when we got a pin where it's like, I think that was the 3. I think my brain has got confused again. I only got 3 hours sleep and I'm tired, you have to forgive me. They then both decided, well, you know what, if I can't beat you and you can't beat me, we'll both go for the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. But it has been a terrible week for that move. Once again, it didn't work. So it hasn't been that devastating at all. We then got this huge German suplex by Mariah, which was kind of crazy. When she went for a spinning slam, and Yuka went for like a Northern Lights bomb. And yeah, I thought they had pretty good chemistry together. Go and take science. Eventually, Yuka did go for the magical girl splash, but Mariah was like, nah, I don't want any of this. So not only did she get the knees up, she then used her knees as a weapon when she hit the Storm Zero. She got the 1-2-3. Now, she was definitely going to finish Yuka off after this, when of all the people, Willow Nightingale came to make the save. Man, I didn't see that one coming either. She was going to have a big old stare down with Mariah when Mina Shirakawa also arrived back in AEW. I think May must have used that because she then waffled Nightingale with the title, and then she hugged Mina, but Mina looked a little bit upset like, Mariah May, this is not the person I remember. So we are quite clearly going to go to this match too. Given all their history, you may be able to tell quite a good story, and the match was good, and Yuka Sakazaki is a very good wrestler, so I am going to give it an up. I do have one final down, you do have to forgive me. But where did Chris Statlander go? Her and Willow had that amazing match at the last pay-per-view, and she fell into the Phantom Zone. Now listen, I understand the Phantom Zone is a scary place, but somebody's got to go in there after her and bring her back to Dynamite. Down. When we got to our main event, which was essentially a #1 contenders match for Bryan Danielson's World Championship, Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin, and if I was going to sum this up in a sentence, it would be Jon Moxley murders Darby Allin. But at one point, he even had Darby's mouth over the rope as he just kicked it, which caused all the blood. They were using every single thing they could here, and even when Darby was able to fight back, well, a lot of his offense was actually disgusting. Well, it's not kind of true. After he was getting destroyed, he decided, I know what I shall attempt, and he jumped on Jon Moxley's back in the piggyback position. I was like, Darby, you're my kind of guy. Now, he then used Tina the Turnbuckle to totally wreck Jon Moxley's arm to the point Marina Shafir had to help him when he climbed to the top rope and he did the coffin drop. And because he is Darby, I always believe in him a little bit. I actually think within the next 6 to 8 months, he should probably become the champ. Shafir then stopped Darby from using the chair when we just got some horrific shots from Jon Moxley. Like if he had turned to the camera and gone, I'm sorry, I totally forgot that wrestling was meant to be predetermined, I'd have gone, yeah, Jon, I can see. I also swear he was trying to crush Darby's brain, which nobody should be doing when we went back to all of these chair shots. And they traded submissions. When that didn't work, Moxley went back to saying, well, I'll just try and make your face explode. What a weird guy. Some of the steel steps were then being used as Darby missed a dive. At this point, even though he was hitting Jonathan, Moxley was basically no-selling it. He did this last week too, so I think he may be turning into Thanos. Jon then went back to trying to choke Darby, but because he has the part of 1,000 men, he was able to power out of this when, of course, Shafina was like, Shafina, I just made her name up. Marina Shafir was like, oh, wicked. I've restored my MP. So she was casting distraction too. This is when Darby Allin, fair play to him, had nothing left. He got hit with the Avalanche Death Rider, 1, 2, 3. So at Wrestle Dream, it is indeed Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. That is a flubbing big match. The doctors ran out to check on Darby Allin after this because I think he was dead. Well, thankfully, Bryan Danielson was here and he started to choke Jon Moxley out with a tie. So we're doing it again. That is 100% attempted murder. You have to go and get this would-be weapon and have the thought process to use it to bring down the crime counter, and it goes up by 1. But I think this would be, it's not self-defense, but he was tried to be killed first. That's Bryan, obviously, because he got strangled with a bag. I don't know what's happening anymore. The Blackpool Combat Club, whatever the flub they're called, tried to help him when Commander and Private Party were here too. And I do understand why they'd be involved, because they got mugged up as well 7 days ago. The fat lot of good this was. Once again, the BCC ended up. Claudio and Pac then made sure to save Moxley because Danielson was ready to totally flub him up when he got on a microphone and said, you want a war, you're going to get a war at the next pay-per-view. I was doing the dance of joy. I just think this has been very well done. Moxley didn't feel the same because he laughed all of this off because he has gone crazy now, and I hope when we do get to those promos, we will reveal all the information because there's definitely more to tell here, but this is getting it up in terms of a main event and a go-home angle or a post-show angle, whatever the hell you want to call it. Yeah, this is the stuff. Colour me intrigued. And even though I give it a couple of downs, they weren't important at all, and I actually thought that AEW came out with some huge hitters here, and even watching it like the crack of dawn or even before dawn, I had such a good time. Even though I was so tired, it got my energy levels going, so I'm giving it an up. Now, of course, please do tell me what you thought about AEW Grand Slam in the comments below. Before you like the video, share the video and subscribe. Click the video on the screen to continue your ups and downs journey. Now I have to go get a plane. I'm actually late because I've been doing ups and downs, but it's good to be dedicated. Goodbye.